I'm going to be playing the video here on my device, and unfortunately, you can't see. You just hear the sound. Now, the voice you'll be hearing is the voice of Peter Obi. So let's play this, and thereafter, I'll make my comments.
Nigeria is a very rich country, blessed by God, with good weather, with good everything. You know, Nigeria is not poor. What is poor is leadership. We have poor leadership, you cripple everything, you make everybody poor. Because your thinking is poor, this is poor. You can remove Nigeria from being a consuming, sharing country to productive country. She just mentioned about my tour. Whenever state I reach, as a land, I look at it. First, the agricultural, the land, the massive land God gave Nigeria. I look at the people who gave Nigeria. And I ask myself a question. How did we get here? That is a very simple thing. Nigeria is a country of about 31,000 square kilometers.
923,000.
23. Vietnam is 331,000 square kilometers. Nigeria is 200 million population. Vietnam is 100. Vietnam export last year is about 300 billion. Total export. Nigeria export last year is about 30 billion.
All right. Sorry, I have to cut this because it goes on and on and on and on. The point has been made. Now I'm trying to make my own point here, give my opinion about this. Now, you heard that was Peter Obi. You know his voice. He has that peculiar, unique voice. So that was Peter Obi. Now, I want to talk about the man Peter Obi first. Peter Obi is someone I used to admired him. I still admire him. And prior to 2023 election, I saw him as a Messiah, the Messiah God has sent to us to actually liberate Nigeria. Prior to 2023, I saw him as that credible leader that we really, really need, Nigeria desperately need. I saw him as someone that can actually do the job. I wasn't expecting him to come just perform magic. Nigeria's problem, like I said earlier in the earlier episode, Nigeria's problem has been dated back to 65 years ago. Even before then, dated back to the time of amalgamation, and that's just the reality. So it didn't start today. So I wasn't expecting Peter Obi to come perform magic, but at the same time, my expectation was Peter Obi will come and will become the president and lay a good foundation. Because what we need in Nigeria is an overhaul of the foundation. An overhaul of the foundation and steer the ship around. That is what I expected him to do. Maybe use that 8 years to do the overhaul and steer the ship around to face the right direction. Then while facing the right direction, the next person, I was expecting somebody like Dati Baba Ahmed to take over from him to continue for another 8 years. After, the moment we get up to 16 years put together of continuous or consecutive number of years, 16 consecutive years of being on the same pedestal, Nigeria will be, that is obviously Nigeria, at that point, Nigeria would have been corrected perfectly. So, but what happened? And why did I so much trust in Peter Obi that way? Because of his Anambra antecedent. We all know Anambra, Peter Obi is the only governor since 1999 that we had this democratic dispensation. He's the only governor that doesn't have up to date, doesn't have any record with EFCC, doesn't have investigation with EFCC, doesn't have any, not even rumor of investigation, has never been invited by the EFCC, has never been spoken about by EFCC. Only Peter Obi. Only Peter Obi as a governor has achieved everything as a governor the way he did. His record speaks for itself. His record is unprecedented. I consider him as the best governor Nigeria ever had from the inception of the country, not the inception of democratic dispensation in 1999, of this second, is it Fourth Republic, call it Fourth Republic, right? Not the inception of the Fourth, no. From the inception of Nigeria, no governor has the record that Peter Obi has in Anambra State. Not in Anambra State, in the entire Nigeria, but Peter Obi, the record he has in Anambra State, no governor has it. So he is, I don't want to go through record, everybody knows the record. So it is an impeccable record. Impeccable record. Do you know what it means for a governor to rule a state, an entire state for 8 years without having a land to his name? He didn't sign land to himself. Not even one. Not his cronies. Not his family members. That is just the tip of the iceberg compared to everything he did. He did so much for Anambra. As a result of that, I adored Peter Obi. I admired him. I honored him. I respected him. And I saw him as that Messiah. Hence, not just me, so many people, especially the youths. As a result of that, the entire Nigeria, he was a ray of hope to everyone in Nigeria. Peter Obi was a ray of hope to Nigerians. As such, he garnered an unprecedented organic support and followership. He is the only politician, a presidential candidate who had crowds that were never paid for, never hired. There were crowds, there were people that paid transportation, spent their money to rally events, to rally locations. Some of them trekked, some paid, some flew. They spent all their resources, their time, their energy to Peter Obi's rally. Unlike other politicians who bossed people, paid and bossed people to events, to their rallies. Peter Obi's case was people were craving, yearning, dying to see this man naturally, to hear this man speak. We hungered and thirsted for Peter Obi to really, really rule us. Hence, the unprecedented high rate of the youth, high rate of the youth actually participating in Nigeria's presidential votes, general election votes. That is just reality. We've never had it that way. So everything about Peter Obi in 2023 was unprecedented. Everything that happened around him was unprecedented. We saw him as a light. We saw him as a ray that will come to rescue us. But what happened? Peter Obi dashed that hope. He disregarded that hope. That courtesy we all gave to him, that honor. We expected reciprocity for all the sacrifices everyone made for Peter Obi. We expected that reciprocity. But what did we get? We got insensitivity and selfishness from Peter Obi. And now what we hear, that is what he's been doing. Quoting data, statistics. He's got now don't get me wrong. Peter Obi has what it takes. He knows, he has the data. Because one thing is to have the data, another thing is what do you do with the data? Peter Obi has both. He has the data. He knows what to do with the data. He has the formula to turn the Nigerian corrupt ship around to a better better direction. But there's one thing he lacks. One thing, and that is very possible, very, very, very important, if not the most important, because it takes two to tango. You may have the problem, if you may know the problem, you may have solution to the problem, but how do you apply the solution to this problem? It takes one thing. It takes courage. It takes guts. Above all, it takes passion. That word, passion. Passion is what, when you have the passion, you have the empathy. When you have the empathy, you will be willing to go out, walk outside the box. Now back to 2023 election. You will ask, what did I expect Peter Obi to have done? As we will always say in our Nigerian slangs, Peter Obi fall our hands. He fall my hand especially. And up to now, I still see him as the best in the field among everyone now that is coming out. All the names we have had so far, Peter Obi still remains the best. My problem with it is he lost the chance in 2023. He can never get there. Not anymore. Now, let me come back to what I expected him to do, because I know you obviously are craving to hear from me what I expected him to do. Peter Obi depended on the court. I didn't expect him to depend on the court. The court favored him as a governor. Remember when Peter Obi was governor, when the Court of Appeal favored him and returned him as governor. But Obasanjo was the president then. During Obasanjo, the courts were relatively fair, relatively in good shape. When I say relatively, they started getting bad during Obasanjo regime, but at least they were relatively fair. So Obasanjo allowed the judiciary at least a high level of independence. So there was no interference from politicians. He didn't allow that massive interference like we have today. Massive interference. So it was an independent judiciary. So the judiciary did their best, and Obasanjo did not allow, because Obasanjo loved Peter Obi, and still loves, is a Peter Obi right-hand man. Peter Obi is his right-hand man. So Obasanjo protected the integrity of the judiciary at that point just because he wanted Peter Obi to come back as governor. So Peter Obi had the support of the president then. I expected Peter Obi to read the handwriting on the wall, not to compare the judiciary of the time when he was a governor and the judiciary of 2023. But he foolishly did. He stupidly did. He myopically did. He shallow-mindedly did. And that is where I have a grudge against Peter Obi. Depending on the court, what did you expect? When INEC said, go to court, we were already protesting. When they were announcing the result, people inside the whatever there, some political parties inside the INEC Collation Center, people were already protesting. Some political party representatives were protesting inside there. Mahmoud Yakubu asked them to go to court. Peter Obi should have known better than us. Even me at my level. When I know when someone says, when a politician, a government functionary says go to court, it means that they have taken care of the court. They have already gone ahead of you. So go there and you will get nothing. Yet, even after all this, Peter Obi still depended on the courts. And what did we get? Of course, we got what we expected. We all expected it. Now, you ask, what did I expect Peter Obi to do? I expected Peter Obi at that juncture. Yes, he rejected the result. First, reject the result. Make call a press conference as you did. He did that. Reject the result. Thereafter, it is not about going to court. I didn't even expect him to waste money and waste time in court because we all foresaw. We already saw what was coming. I expected him to protest that result. Contest and protest that result by the people. The people were ready for that. All they wanted was a head, someone to lead the movement. What we wanted was a movement to occupy the streets, a movement to occupy every state of the nation, a movement to occupy the FCT, a movement to occupy everywhere in the nation. People were ready. People gave up so many things. Look, that election, 2023 election, was the best election when it comes to not credibility, not the conduct, but when it comes to attendance by the people. It's the best in the history of Nigeria as far as I'm concerned. What the election attracted everyone, especially the youth. Youths are more in population. They came out en masse to vote for Peter Obi. Everybody, because of what INEC brought up. INEC gave us a false impression that they were really out to be credible, fair, and transparent. That was what. So they gave us that impression, and they used that to wink us. They used that to deceive us, to relax, to relaxedly participate. That was why they did that. And when they gave us that impression that this INEC is a different INEC from other INEC, this election will be different, it will be the best. So everybody relaxed and became hopeful and came out en masse. And at the end of the day, they fall our hands. So what else? These same people that they fell our hands, we were ready to protest that because they dashed our hope. Do you know what it means? We were so hopeful. We were about to have the sigh of relief. We already took our breath in. I'm just waiting to. But what happened? We took our breath in. Instead of bringing it out, the breath in hung. It was a shock. They suspended our breath in the air. And here we are. With that kind of passion, with that kind of frustration, with that kind of anger, Nigerians were ready to hit the streets with protests. But Peter Obi, what did he do? He called for calm, that we should go to everybody, there should be peace, everybody should calm, whatever. Someone should tell Peter Obi, if you are in Rome, you have to behave like a Roman. Someone should tell Peter Obi, power is not given, power is taken. Someone should tell Peter Obi, if you are in politics, you have to play by the rules of the politics. Someone should tell Peter Obi, nothing comes easy. There is no pain. If there is no pain, there will not be gain. He is a businessman. He understands what I'm talking about. You understand what pain and gain means as a businessman who is not just rich, he is a multi-billionaire who has succeeded and is succeeding in all his businesses. He's a successful businessman. So he understands what I mean. Someone should tell Peter Obi that it takes risks to succeed. Someone should tell Peter Obi, nothing comes easy. Not even the attainment to power comes easy. It is difficult to attain power. You have to be willing and ready to attain that power. If you are not willing and ready, you cannot. If you don't have the passion, if you don't have the resilience, if you don't have the doggedness, if you don't have the stubbornness, if you don't have the strength and courage to face the powers that be. You cannot take power. Peter Obi has everything except the courage. He has everything except the passion. He has everything except the strength to do the needful. I consider him a coward. Nigerians sacrificed so much for Peter Obi. I expected reciprocity. He did not reciprocate. He dashed our hope. And that is just it. I expected him. People will say, some people will come and say, you expected him to die. The powers that be would have arrested him, probably would have shot him, they would have killed him, they would have incarcerated him, they would have done this and done that, they would have made his life uncomfortable, they would have antagonized his family, they would have wrecked his business. And so what? That is what comes with the pursuit of power. Take a look at Donald Trump today. Donald Trump risks all. His family was dragged in the mud in the public. His business was almost crumbled. The entire powers that be tried to crumble his businesses. He was almost jailed. Almost jailed. In fact, literally, technically, he was jailed because he was taking a mock shot. Mock shot, it means, for those of you who don't know what mock shot is, that is when you are going for detention. They take a picture of you under detention behind the bar. Take a picture of you for record for the process of your case, to process your case or whatever. So he had that mock shot. That means literally he went behind bars. He was actually arrested. He went behind bars, even though he was not detained. Above all, he was attempted killed twice. Almost killed twice. The first one, the bullet almost got through to his head. Yet, what happened? Even in the midst of that blood, even when the danger was still present, nobody, every security person will tell you at that point, if all heads should be down. Donald Trump refused to stay down, even when the threat was yet to be eliminated. The threat was still active. Donald Trump stood up and with his fist in the air, fight, 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 making himself, poking up his head up, making himself vulnerable to the second bullet that would have passed through his forehead. That is the leader who desires, who is selfless, who is sacrificing everything just for the people. Nothing. Donald Trump doesn't need anything in life. He's rich, he's a billionaire, just like Peter Obi. He's a billionaire, he has all the comfort or whatever. He did not have to do this. Yet he did it for what? For passion and patriotism. Patriotism for the country. Peter Obi failed in that. Peter Obi is not patriotic. He likes the passion and the patriotism. He loves himself too much. He loves his business. And if anybody who loves himself, just like our Lord Jesus our Lord Jesus Christ said, if you love yourself, it means that you are not ready to carry the cross and follow him. He that is not ready to put his hand on the plow, is not ready to inherit the kingdom of God. It's not ready for the Christian race. That's what Jesus Christ, that is Jesus Christ himself. That is even a heavenly race. Heavenly race. It is the divine rule, overall divine rule, that for you to get something good, there must be pain. Pain must come out of you. That's just it. Yet Peter Obi, he just wants power on the platter of gold. You can't get it. Unfortunately, it is too late. There's nothing he does now all he does now is just go bring that data and statistics and attend functions, both high and the mighty, low and mighty. Every function now he attends it. I consider him a function president. He just attends all events. Events for comedians, events for socialites, events for politicians, events for everything. Just attends everything. He's just seeking relevance. Relevance has gone. The relevance, he got to the pinnacle of relevance. He got to the apex of relevance in 2023 election. You can't go higher. You know, there is something in life. There is a level, there is a level you get to in life. You can no longer go higher than that. That's exactly, he got to the highest level of popularity and acceptability in 2023. He can no longer go beyond that. So the moment you get to your peak, the next thing, you can't go further. If you cannot go further, the next thing you start diminishing, you start sliding downward, start falling. And as a result of that, Peter Obi has fallen. So many people will come and ask, people will bash me, Peter Obi is still popular. It is not. Don't deceive yourself. He is no longer popular. People will never come out as much as they came out again for him. He will not garner that kind of public support anymore like he did. Organic rallies like he did, massive organic. You will see. He won't get that anymore. Even in a fair election right now, Peter Obi will not even, because honestly, I have so many of my kinds who felt who expected much more from Peter Obi. And all he does now is just mentioning fake figures, regional figures and statistics. It is so sad that Nigeria, Peter Obi knows the problem of Nigeria. He has the formula to solve this problem. Yet, he doesn't want to sacrifice himself. When I say sacrifice, I'm not asking him to go die. If in the process of trying to do that, he dies, so what? People have died. Abiola died for this cause. And today, somebody will say, what did he benefit? He benefited something. Nigeria, he's now engraved in the history of Nigeria. There will be as it is now, there is no Nigeria without Abiola. And that's why we have June 12. June 12 is perpetually celebrated annually now in memory of Abiola. What else? Someone will die. Either way, you will die. So why don't you die honorably? Abiola died honorably. He made all the money, made all the name, the fame, or whatever. What else could he have done? But he ended up sacrificing his life for us. He died honorably. So what is the problem? Why are you afraid of dying? You can only be afraid of dying if you have done something wrong. But dying honorably, there's nothing as good as dying honorably, nothing as fulfilling as dying honorably. That you died for humanity. You died just like Jesus Christ. He died for us. It is so joyful, so fulfilling for you to pass through pain. I remember some time ago when I got injured, armed robbers wanted to enter. I was outside or whatever, so they were asking, because I was avoiding them raping my wife, because I knew quite right, if they had access to my wife, they will definitely rape her. I refused to give them access to my house. It's a long story. And what happened? I was almost shot though. There's a scar here, see? Here, and one in front here. That was the head of a AK-47. They used it to pound my head. And blood all over the place. Because at that point, honestly, I thought they would shoot me. I honestly zeroed my mind. I just thought I'm gone. But God said it was not my time yet. So they just hit me, and the leader just said, just leave him alone. Let's go. But I felt fulfilled. It was injury, but honestly, that night I felt fulfilled that I was there to stand in the gap for my wife. And so that is just the reality. That is just the reality. It's fulfilling for someone, for you actually to make sacrifice for others. I don't know why Peter Obi failed to do this. Oh, what am I talking? Of course I know why. He's weak. He's weak. He's carried away by his wealth and good life or whatever. He's not ready. Either way, we will all die. So why can't we, if I were in his shoes, don't come to me and begin to say, why didn't I do that myself? I'm not in his position. I'm not popular. Nobody knows me. If I were in his position, if I were to be as popular as he is in his position, honestly between man and God, I would rather die honorably. I will face the government. And besides, what are we talking about? He may not even die. He may even achieve that. So it's just about gamble. Life is about risk. You take the risk. You may succeed or you may fail. So don't even know. It is not an absolutity that he could have died if he did that. No. There's a possibility. It's a 50-50 thing. There's a possibility you could have challenged the government with a mass with protests and whatever, and we achieve what we desired, what we desired. And it is possible. His life could go for it. But I doubt he could. I don't think they could have, because it was a global issue. The worst case, the government, what they could have done is just probably incarcerate him. He becomes a political prisoner, which even makes him more popular. Which would have made him more popular. And with that, even he will be very close to being the president, because being a political leader will definitely mount pressure on the government of the day to pacify him and his people. When I say his people, that is we that supported him. And this is my angle.